Hey guys, welcome back to Mainville UTV and Outdoors. We are taking a look at our 2023 Scout Kenai that we just got. We are calling it our off-road headquarters build. Our truck in front of us is a 2021 Duramax that we call Mule, and we do have a custom box. We're going to touch a lot on these details and how we use this camper, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so for our choice of platform, we're going to start with the Duramax here. This is a 21 Chevrolet Silverado Duramax LTZ Z71 Midnight Edition. I had to think of all the ridiculous stuff off the top of my head. I am a diesel mechanic by trade, and I also opt in for diesel when I can, as long as payload and stuff allows. So this platform for me was an easy choice. Everything inside, it's pretty much got all the bells and whistles that I wanted and some that I didn't, but just kind of came with the package. Really happy with this truck. We have traveled to the West Coast, British Columbia, Canada, like several times. We've gone up to Yellowknife, the Northwest Territories, and just recently Washington to go and actually pick up the camper. So this truck has been very good to us. We had some environmental DEF issues in the beginning, but that's been solved, and since then we've gone through winters and had no problems. It's been a really good truck. We've only got 32,000 kilometers, which is early 20,000 miles or so. Really happy with it and can't wait to put on a lot more miles with it. It was the truck of choice at the time. I didn't know that I was going to be doing all of this per se. I knew that with what we do with power sports and off-road and all of our hauling, and we have a tractor and a few other things, this was just the right way to go for us. So really happy with the truck, and I hope to see a lot of years with it. What we have here is a custom box that we had done up by a semi-local fab shop here in Canada. It's obviously inspired by another company, Bowen Designs, down in the States. Unfortunately, it was a little difficult to organize a timeline that I needed with that company, and to get across the border was tricky with traveling and bringing the truck and timelines for construction on their end. So it was just impossible to get done with them. I would have loved to, but we did get something mocked up. This is my design that I had kind of cobbled together for this application, and like I said, we had a fab shop in Edmonton, Alberta do it up for us. So that's what's going on here. Basically, you have several storage bins. This side in particular, very simple, obviously work in progress, don't mind my mess, but this is basically our tool side, oils, that kind of stuff, tow ropes. We have access to the straps for the camper and behind all this with panels to close it all up and hide it. I will have a compressor going in here soon, so I basically have 110, all of my tools that I need, basic tools, compressor for the airbags and everything else. So really happy with the way that turned out. Bottom bin is basically going to be oils. This is where I'm going to put a tow rope, some basic recovery gear. And then right here is where our riding gear goes. So we're gonna have helmets, our fin trail waders set, whatever application we're doing, because we do ATVs, UTVs, snowmobiles, you name it. We have different gear for different seasons, so we have a gear locker here essentially is what that is. On the other side, we're preparing it. It has nothing in it now, but we're preparing it for a cooking station, and a few other things, basically some extra storage like camping gear, maybe some extra sleeping bags, whatever. So before we actually move on to the camper itself, I wanted to touch on a few details. We have a swing gate on the back here. The idea behind that is to actually maintain my rear view camera that was in my tailgate initially. We also may want to put some Mack tracks on it or something like that. It isn't rated for a spare tire or anything, but that's basically the idea there. And we can also lock it up so we have an extra way of keeping, intruders or thieves out if need be in storage or something like that. We have a collapsible set of stairs. This just quick pins right here at the back. I just installed this today. We're really happy with that. The steps glow at night, so pretty sweet little setup. We also have our hitch and our protector, because normally we have a trailer behind this and we have whatever machines that we're going to be towing depending on the season and what we're doing. So that's basically the idea back here. Lots of extra lighting. All the lighting at the back is converted to LED, reverse lights, everything like that. We have some extra clearance lights, and we also installed a bunch of lighting back here that we have on wireless remotes that I can control from the cab or my service box that I showed you earlier on the side. So a lot of cool features that way. I apologize if you can hear a lot of wind. We live in the prairies, so there's not a whole lot we can do about that. So I hope we can kind of get through this part. We can get inside and we'll get away from the wind. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a 2023 Scout Kenai. It is the largest of 3 models available from Scout. Ours has the 2 front windows here. That is a new option for 2023. They can be retrofitted from before and later if you don't have them, but we ordered with them. We opted in for that. And of course, we do have the 270-degree awning on the side there. That's what's in that bag mounted to the top. Below that, you're going to see another window. It's actually the exact same as those, but just obviously larger. And then below that, we have 2 cabinets. The first one near the cab, that's actually housing your propane. That's why it's vented there. We have 1 10-pound propane bottle in there and an option for a second. For this particular model and the features that we have, we only need the 1 bottle. There's also an external hookup there, so you can actually run a line outside if you want to do cooking somewhere else. The next cabinet is solely for storage. It currently has our ladder in it that allows us to go to the top of our camper, and we also have a sleeping bag, which is for guests. Okay, so before we move around to the other side, up above on the front of the truck, above the windows, you're going to see a solar panel. That solar panel is what charges the Goal Zero on the inside. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But that's basically what's going on. It's permanently mounted and it keeps that thing charged fairly well as long as you have sunlight, of course. Would consider it more of a weekend warrior type setup. I wouldn't expect this thing to be running like a PC on the inside very well, or something that demands a ton of power. But basically the way it is right now, running our fridge, we could probably get like a solid 4 days of 12 volt out of that fridge, even in summer heat. So pretty impressed by it. Just make sure you know what your power consumption needs are going to be before considering this option. Beside that, you're going to have a tent. That's the rooftop tent. It is accessible from the inside or the ladder that we talk about on this side. So basically you can climb in from the outside or go in through the inside. It's pretty cool. You do have to set it up externally first and then you're ready to rip. Okay, so now we're actually on the driver's side. There isn't a whole lot going on this side. All you're going to see is a drain for the sink externally. You're also going to see another one of those windows. Up above, you are going to see the actual mounting points for the ladder I talked about on the other side. That allows you to get up to the rooftop tent from the outside. So that's what's going on here. I am going to take this chance to talk about some of the other details of this camper, considering this side doesn't have a whole lot going on. You're going to see 4 jack points. I don't currently have the jacks on because I want to save the weight, and this camper is going to be staying in my truck fairly permanently. There's also a 7-pin hookup just underneath. That allows you to hook up to your actual truck if you have 2 7-pin hookups on your truck. That will allow you to run the clearance lights and charge your Goal Zero on the inside. We'll talk more about that in a moment. You're also going to have a solar hookup right underneath beside that same 7-pin, and that'll allow you to run an external panel. Let's say you're camping in the shade. Well, the solar that's on top of this unit already isn't going to work very well, so you can actually run one out into the sunlight. Okay, so now we're at the back of the camper. Before I pass you on to my wife to show you the rest of the camper, what we've got going on here, that's actually the door for your cassette. This is your toilet on the inside, so all of your biohazard that's all going to be in here, and you can dump that appropriately. It is lockable in case you're worried about someone stealing your poop, so that's pretty cool. On the top here, you actually have the water, so you can actually flush your toilet. Above that, you have a diesel heater. We opted in for that. I'm pretty sure it might be the only option at this point, but they used to have a propane heater available for this. So this has been great. We've already tried this. It's been phenomenal. Above that, we have I think it has 3 options. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that light can be like a motion sensor. It's solar. It's pretty sweet. You can have it on all the time if you want, or off, whatever you want. So that's what's going on there. You can see the clearance lights I talked about earlier. So those turn on with your 7-pin with the truck. And then on this side, I'm not entirely sure all of the options that thing is supposed to entail, but I believe you clip your 270-degree awning into that. We haven't actually tested it yet, but a lot of people will hang their towels and so on and so forth there. You obviously saw the Rotopax water container there, just so we can have a little extra water. That's basically the back of the camper. Okay, Cass, give us a tour of the inside.
Welcome to the inside. We're going to start standing right here actually in the wash bay. So this can be used to quickly rinse off as you come in, or in our case we have a dog, or if you want to get into a bit of a deeper dive, you can set up the shower curtain that's provided and use this as an actual shower, which is pretty nice and handy if you're spending quite a bit of time outdoors. It is slanted and it does have an output, a drain outside, so you're covered there. We have our cassette toilet that Kyle mentioned briefly outside. You've got the flusher and you can pump some water into it as well. So good to go there. Pretty handy to have on the road for long road trips, or if you're camping out in the woods.
In case you're wondering, this does rotate, so it's not like you have to jam your legs right there. Your legs actually come out right here.
Moving on to the kitchen, we have our Lifesaver Jerry, which can be filled from virtually any water source that you have access to while you're out camping. You can fill it. Diesel's getting pretty bored.
Oh boy, buddy. Oh boy.
Hey, buddy. Oh, so yeah, you can fill it from virtually any water source, river, stream, lake. Obviously, the cleaner the better for the water source, but it'll do a good job of filtering that up, and you can use it for drinking water. Down here we have our sink with additional counter space if you need it for cooking, which we can do on this Dometic stovetop cooker. So 2 burners, pretty useful. It's got the wind guards on there if you want to remove this and take it outside, which is the whole concept of the modularity of the Scout, which is awesome. Speaking of modularity, we have the Dometic fridge. This is like my favorite part of this whole thing. Essentially, it's solar powered. You can run it on 12 volts, 110, and you can set this up. There's 2 components here, or 2 compartments, I should say. One you can set up as fridge, freezer, switch it, fridge, freezer, freezer. The world's your oyster. So you have your settings here on the side. Again, it's removable, so if you need to take it on a trip with you, let's say to the beach or to the campfire to have some drinks, you can go ahead and do that. On this side, let's talk storage for a minute. We've got what I'm calling the pantry, essentially. We've got our dry goods, some blankets, and kind of odds and sods that we haven't quite figured out where we want yet. The shelf is removable, relocatable, so that'll help us when we do finally decide where things are going to be going. Got some extra kitchen storage down here. And then moving on up to the sleeping area, we have these 2 Scout provided bags that are both hanging, but you can remove them to bring them in the house when you're done, throw it in the laundry, good to go when you're packing, just bring it in the house, pack everything up, hanger back up. What's also convenient, I find about it, is yes, we do tend to keep our clothing inside, but you can put some extra stuff in storage here. It's probably going to be some wipes, some cleaning stuff, as well as down here. And on the bedside, we have earplugs, phone chargers, any kind of stuff that you're going to want to be able to access from the bed itself. Some extra storage over here that Kyle's probably going to be using for charging all of his camera gear, drone, and stuff like that.
That's correct. So on this side, for me, it's important. I really want that 12 volt. And I have another Blue Eddy battery pack basically right here. And this is to help me with my camera gear. That's what I do for a living. So photography, videography, that kind of stuff, marketing. Live at events if I have to, or just for post, and that's what I do with this camper. So it's really important that I have a space for all of my camera gear to charge up.
If you wanted to use it as a closet, you can. There's space for hangers. There's a hook there for a jacket or anything like that. Then there's some additional storage down here, which I found useful for both the dog stuff. His food fits right in here in a nice container. Toilet paper for when you gotta go. Moving back this way, we have these really cool windows, which have the, I want to call them pistons, but I guess it's like a strut mechanism that as you open it at each interval, you can click, stop, oops, it's the wind, click, stop again, and then open and bring your back shut. So I'm going to leave it closed right now because of the wind. You can vent it in the lip that's provided, but right now we're just going to close it right up. Whether it's open or closed, you have an option to, well, if it's open, you can bring up a screen, keep the bugs out, which is really nice when you're camping. And furthermore, for when you want to sleep in. We've slept on the side of the highway at a rest stop on the way from Washington, shut all the blinds. There's a cover that's provided for the back window, and we didn't set alarms, and we woke up, we had no idea what time it was. So very useful for not waking up with the sun in your eyes.
Surprisingly, this was a feature that really helped sell this camper to us. Mm-hmm. I am very impressed with the design of that window.
Very.
Which is why we also got the ones at the front too.
exactly, which is available with the 23 model that we got. That's a major reason why we went with the 23, although you can retrofit them onto the older models, which is super convenient. And I'm excited to see what else Scout comes up with that we'll be able to retrofit this with. So we have a rooftop tent here, which could have been a skylight, but we opted for the Camper Queen rooftop tent so that we can have friends with us camping comfortably, which you can access both inside and outside with the ladder attached to the side. Super convenient depending on the level of privacy that you want. We have 3 track 12 volt powered LED lights, which are all dimmable. And there she goes. Super convenient, especially in the bed. You can leave that one on before you go to bed, shut it off right at the end. Got some spots for some additional hangers or anything that you might want a carabiner up there. And then right here, to go back to the kitchen for a second, there is a 12 volt vent. So if you're cooking, you should have that on, especially if you have everything closed up because of the propane powered cooktop. But otherwise, it's pretty easy to access, just like that. So some few final points that I'd like to touch on before handing it off back to Kyle is this dinette. Love it, love it, love it, love it. It's something that's tricky to get right in terms of you're trying to get in and out of different seating spaces. It can be pretty tight in here, especially if you're camping with 4 adults and a dog like we plan on doing. So you can move this in and out of the way. You can store it off to the side, which we tend to be doing when we're not using it as a table. You can also convert it into a 3rd bed if you'd like, if you plan on traveling, I'd say with a child up to early teens kind of thing, someone small, or use it as a couch if you'd like to have a big couch for some guests that are over. Under that, you do have quite a bit of storage still down here. Don't mind the mess, but we have our garbage, some of the extra stuff that doesn't really have a spot yet, and then some pretty significant storage down here. This gets in quite deep, so we might be using a Tupperware or some sort of a drawer set up to be able to put, I don't know, shoes or something under there. And then there's this quite large storage space here. Finally, before I hand it over to Kyle to talk about this particular cubby, we do have the diesel heater, which is powered by 12 volt. You can see it's a touch screen that lets you adjust the heat, but you can set it to the temp that you'd like it to be kept at, and the hot air comes right out of here. It's a nice dry heat, which will help us dry out our gear that we're riding in. And yeah, it doesn't take long at all to heat it up, and all it takes is the diesel and the 12 volt to be running it.
So down below, you're going to see the Goal Zero. This is the 1500X. From Goal Zero, I believe it's the largest that you can fit in this cubby without some custom work. I know there's some people who jam a 3000 in here and so on. This unit has been really good to us in the time that we've used it. I do like to make sure everyone is aware that this is definitely a weekend warrior type setup. You're not going to be doing any power hungry stuff with this unit. Basically, the amount of solar that you have, this thing's great for like running the fridge and the diesel heater and stuff like that for a weekend or 4 or 5 days or so, depending on how you use it. But we charged the cell phone, ran this on 12 volt with 2 fridges, and we had the diesel heater running at one point, and basically we would get a solid 4 days out of it. And that's depending on the sun, of course. We had some days where we didn't have any, or we weren't getting any input whatsoever. Now again, you can charge it from your truck. There's the 7-pin that we discussed earlier, and basically if you're connected to the truck while you're driving, you can charge this unit with that. So all you got to do is swap out the charging line for the solar with the truck input one, and away you go. Currently, I have this actually charging my Blue Eddy. This is kind of something that I'm working on, so don't take this as take it with a grain of salt. The Blue Eddy that's in there is going to be charging my camera gear. That's basically what I do for a living, and it's what I plan on doing with this unit primarily, so I can show up to a power sports event and do a photography shoot or whatever I have to in my niche, and I can just kind of park and create. So that corner over there is going to be charging a lot of my stuff that way. I may end up just charging that in the truck or whatever and then bringing it in here, and that'll give me a power bank solely for my camera stuff while letting this do its job with the standard things that we just discussed. So pretty cool unit. Like I said, be careful. If you think you're going to be, running an AC unit or something crazy off this, you are not. It is simply not powerful enough to do so. You'll have to hook up shore and do some custom work, whatever you want with that. But pretty cool unit. We're happy with it so far. Just a few things to keep in mind is the way these batteries work. below 0, they are not going to charge or let you power anything. So something to keep in mind. It shouldn't be a surprise. They are very clear on how these things operate before you buy these units, so do a little bit of your own research as well. It'll be very helpful when you have this to set your expectations. But for us, so far, the way it's set up, the Weekend Warrior aspect, fantastic. We loved it. It powered the Dometic and everything else we had perfectly, so we have no qualms with it. So when it comes to this unit, we do something fairly unique. I primarily want to use it, so basically I can be hired to go on site and do photography, videography services. I do a lot of marketing and stuff. This all pretty much in the power sports niche, so that's what we use it for. So behind this, we're going to have a trailer with, let's say in the summer, we're going to go out with a side-by-side or a quad, or we might take the sleds, go to Revelstoke, hit the mountains, do whatever. Or we get hired to do an event like CSRA, where they do snowmobile racing and stuff like that. And we can do a photography shoot.
Grass races, snow races.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So this allows me to kind of come back, check my work, see if I'm happy. Because sometimes when you're hired to do a shoot, for example, they want a particular shot and you don't actually get to check your work thoroughly until you get home and you realize the shot's ruined or something. But I can come back here and actually have a look, or maybe even develop some of this stuff, do my editing, that kind of thing. So this provides a really cool opportunity that way. We can also take it, so if someone says, hey, let's go for a ride, cool, let's meet up. We can actually go the night before and just wake up and ride.
Yeah.
You know, instead of getting up at 5 a.m. or whatever, like we always do.
Yeah.
Driving a couple hours, riding for 8 hours, and then driving for a couple hours. It gets pretty crazy. So this allows us to do some pretty unique stuff. And of course, just camp.
Yeah, it's just more of a... Yeah?
Okay.
How do you plan on using it?
You're just happy to be here, eh, buddy?
Yeah. He just wants attention. So the way I see us using it more is we do events sometimes from morning till night. And it's a really nice headquarters, command post, call it whatever you will. It's just a nice place to get away, warm up, get some food. Oftentimes at these events, it's hamburgers, hot dogs, and 3 days in, it's starting to get a bit much. So it's nice to be able to have healthy snacks, both on the road and at events. It's a nice place to warm up, cool off if you need to. And it also gives us flexibility of bringing the dog with us places that we might not typically get to, just because he is able to sit in here, not get too hot, not get too cold, and we'll have that just peace of mind that he's good to go in here. It
was awesome coming back from Washington. We picked up this unit from the factory directly, which I do have to say, by the way, Adventure Manufacturing, they were super nice, super awesome. I feel bad. The one lady, we stressed her out so bad. The custom box is so perfectly measured that basically they looked at it and they're like, it won't fit. There's no way it'll fit. I'm like, it will fit. Trust me, it'll fit. And it is literally to the millimeter to get this thing in, which is exactly what I want. It makes it a little difficult in and out, but it's still not that bad. But they were fantastic. They were good sports, very supportive. They stayed late. They helped us out. Some of the people there were just amazing. Yeah. So big shout out to them. They also gave us a really great deal on the unit, and we got to go and check out the factory, and that was amazing. So big thank you to Scout themselves. It was a great trip. Washington is like this weird mountain, prairie to mountain. Idaho was amazing. We went through British Columbia, of course, a lot of Canada, not stuff that we haven't seen before, but we got to camp in for the first time with this unit, and we just fell in love immediately. We know we made the right purchase. So I think that's going to be the end of the video.
I think that's a wrap, eh, Bob?
Diesel wants to go for a walk. Oh, boy. Okay. So that's it. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below. I'll make sure to do my best to cover this and make sure you have more than enough B-roll. But if you have any questions or something I may have left out, feel free to ask, and I will answer. If you have any recommendations, we're still trying to figure it out, get our sea legs in this, so feel free to leave your recommendations below. And also, there's a couple Facebook groups out there, Scout owners, Scout camper owners. Feel free to join those if you're interested in knowing more. There's some pretty cool builds out there. I also want to thank all of our YouTube members for being awesome people. Here. I could put them here. Yeah. Here looks pretty good. Yeah. So I might put those there. Big shout out to those people. We do have merchandise at mainvilleatv.ca/shop. Diesel's very excited about that. And of course for viewing, liking, commenting, all the algorithm-y stuff. I appreciate that. But until next time, see you dudes.